Welcome to Devakshar. Namaskar. Today, most people are bogged down by the problems of life. Most of these problems are related to mental tension. So, we are starting with this book, How to Overcome Mental Tension by Swami Gokulanadaji Maharaj. This book is available in all the three languages, Hindi, English, and Bengali. It has been rightly said that the present century is a century of stress. Gokulanadaji says, one thing that is obvious is the psychosomatic nature of nervous tension and stress which causes major health hazards. The various conflicting urges and desires within us clamor for fulfillment simultaneously. Often there is a tug of war between the desires of the flesh and the aspirations of the spirit. Mental stress can arise due to wrong understanding of religion. Apart from religion, people also have a wrong understanding of life itself. Excessive ambition, intellectual rivalry, overwork, the dual inner tendencies, extrovert and introvert, always vying with each other, are all detrimental to peace of mind. To regain faith in ourselves, we have to first have a balanced perspective of meaning of existence. Instead of regretting the past or worrying over the future, we should give all our attention to the present. Our aim is to develop our willpower by avoiding useless talk, purposeless work, futile controversies, fault-finding tendencies, backbiting, lurid thoughts, and all such distractions which dissipate our vital mental energies. Good thoughts bring rewards, while bad thoughts bring punishment. Concentrating on one single idea to the exclusion of all others is a sure path to success in curing mental tension. We must have a positive attitude even in the face of worst adversities. It is good to remember that even depression has a therapeutic side. It leads us to great achievements. Depression brings to the forefront of our mind guilt, fear, and anger, which has to be faced before we can attempt to learn to control them. The secret of achieving tranquility, therefore, is to cultivate the attitude of acceptance and surrender. These are not passive attitudes, but come only through great effort of meditation, introspection, and self-analysis. Once we have overcome tension, we reach a dimension of inner bliss, as is expressed in the immortal verse of the poet Rabindranath Tagore. Remain in bliss in this world, fearless, pure in heart. Wake up in bliss every morning. Carry out all your duties in bliss. Remain in bliss in weal and woe, in criticism and insult. Remain in bliss unaffected. Remain in bliss pardoning everybody. Before we can talk about the steps through which mental tension is to be overcome, it is essential to know the nature of what we call mental tension and the cause which induces it. Maharaj begins with the story of a doctor and a patient. The patient used to lead a very hectic life. He was constantly busy as he wanted to do everything for and by himself. The result was predictable. One day he broke down due to tremendous mental tension. He approached a doctor and described his problem. He said, I have to do an enormous amount of work. Every day I am compelled to bring home a briefcase full of papers because I do not find enough time to complete the work in the office. Consequently, I am suffering from different kinds of tension. You are a doctor, so you should come to my rescue. The doctor inquired, Well, you work from morning till evening. Why then do you have to carry the file to your house? The patient answered, I have to because I feel that no one else can do the work as well as I can do it myself. If I cannot finish the day's work before I go to office the next morning, I have more tension. In order to free myself from this tension, I'm forced to work late in the night. Nevertheless, I'm faced with other kinds of tension. I request you to examine me thoroughly and prescribe some medicine, please. The doctor did not need to examine the patient thoroughly. He took a careful look at the patient and said, "Well, you must have implicit faith in me since you have come to me for help. Please follow all I have to say. Will you do exactly what I ask you to do?" The patient replied, "Yes, of course I will. If I am going to be free from mental tension, I will do whatever you ask me to do. In fact, I am eagerly waiting for your prescription." The doctor said he was not going to write out any medicines. "I shall only tell you orally. The prescription is that you should take off at least 2 hours every day from your hectic schedule and go for long walks. You should also take half a day's leave every week and spend it in a graveyard." The doctor's prescription puzzled the patient greatly. He said with astonishment, "I come to ask you for some medicine to get rid of my mental tension, and instead of giving me any medicine, you ask me to go for long walks? It will cut into some of my precious time. Nevertheless, I am willing to follow your advice. But I don't understand why you suggest that I should spend a few hours every week in a graveyard." The doctor then gave a very significant explanation. He said, "I want you to go to the cemetery and look at the gravestones of people who are there permanently, because by doing so, you will realize that death is a reality. You will meditate on the supreme fact of death. You will come to accept that people buried there were like you before they died. They worked hard every day all through their lives, thinking that the entire world rests on their shoulders. They too thought they were indispensable. When you die, you will also be buried among them, and others who take a walk in the cemetery will see your gravestone and have similar thoughts. Realize the fact that even if a person who is leading a very hectic life dies, the world goes on as before in spite of his absence." This patient, unlike many others suffering from stress, at least had the patience to listen to the advice and follow it. From then on, he tried to delegate his authorities, stopped fretting and fuming, and was able to get rid of his mental tension. For the rest of his life, he led a balanced, integrated, and peaceful life. Maharaj continues, "Like the patient I mentioned, most of us suffer from mental tension, fatigue, and the stress and the strain of life. In this connection, what Swami Vivekananda says about the secret of work is extremely relevant. According to Swamiji, the calmer we are, the less disturbed our nerves, the more shall we learn, the better will our work be." The remarkable insight that Swamiji conveys to us through these words is that unless we subject ourselves to some kind of discipline, we are likely to shatter our mental equilibrium into pieces. An example makes this clear. A few months back, an elderly couple came to me with their only son. Their whole life was built around this boy who was now very well placed, had a very well paid job and a good house in Delhi. But as happens with many young men, he fell in love with a girl belonging to a different community from that of his own. The parents were liberal and did not object to the marriage. Gradually, it so happened that the new daughter-in-law could not get on with the mother-in-law, although she was not so averse to the father-in-law. Soon she prevailed upon her husband to take a separate house, and they moved out. It was a tremendous shock to the parents. It caused them great mental tension and strain. The boy was their only son, and with what great expectations they had brought him up. Gokulanadaji says, they came and requested me to suggest a solution to their problems. Instead of a solution, Maharaj puts a question. Can you bring the boy to me one day? They say, we shall try. Again a question by Maharaj. Does your son come to see you? Yes, answers the father. My son comes occasionally, but his wife does not come at all. For some reason, she does not seem to like visiting us. All right, bring him one day and let me have a talk with him. After a fortnight, I got a telephone call from the father saying that he would come with his son. I was very optimistic of settling the issue. At least I would have, I felt, an opportunity of talking to the son. But when he came, I noticed he too had his own quota of mental tension. I realized that he did not want to return to his parents and stay with them. But soon he had a strained relationship with his wife. He had naturally further mental tensions. He moved out of the house he occupied with his wife and went back to his parents. I was sure that now there would be some sort of reconciliation. Unfortunately, that was not to be. After offering him tea and snacks, I listened to the son's story. He said that he had to return to his parents because his wife had deserted him. I asked, all right, what do you want now? Even though she had deserted me, says the boy, I cannot desert her. I want to regain her love. I want to be united with her. Strange are the ways of God. This is a common enough phenomena, especially in cities like Delhi, and it is not the only cause of tension. Swami Gokulanadaji has mentioned the problems that we see around us all the time nowadays. In the next session, we will come up with a few more incidents of such kind. Stay tuned with us, watch Devakshar, share the videos and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching Devakshar.